Mr. Fred here. I'm here to teach you English. Today our topic is Subject-Verb Agreement. In fact, I really mean noun and verb agreement. You know the subject is a noun or a pronoun. So, what I'm trying to say is that when we write, the subject and the verb in a sentence must agree. In fact, that's the most fundamental rule in grammar. In subject-verb agreement, the most fundamental rule is that the subject and the verb must agree in number. So what does this mean? It means that if the subject is singular, the verb has to be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb has to be plural. So let's have an example to demonstrate this. The flowers smell nice. The flowers smell nice. Now let's look at the subject. I said the flowers, right? So what does that mean? Is that singular or plural? Flowers mean more than one. So that's plural. And what did you hear in the verb? The verb is what? Smell. The flowers smell. And going by what we said earlier, that the subject and the verb must agree in number, if the subject is plural, then the verb has to be plural. So what does that tell you? It tells you that smell is a plural verb, because we don't say the flowers smells nice. We don't say that. We say the flowers smell nice. If you want to make the subject singular, it will automatically affect the verb. So if I took it like this, the flower smells nice. That's how it's going to be. The flower smells nice. So the flower is a singular noun. Smells is a singular verb. So this is how we use the verb to express that nouns or subjects and verbs must agree in number. If you do it any other way, you'll be grammatically incorrect. Another rule is that sometimes you find that the subject have some words between it and the verbs. The rule is that the words that come between the subject and the verb do not affect the number. So if we have an example like one of the eggs, you know after that we immediately have a verb, right? So the full sentence would be one of the verbs is broken. Now between the subject one and the verb is, we find a group of words of the eggs. As you can see, I talked about a noun phrase in an earlier video, and I said that the noun phrase has a noun as the main word and other words describing that noun. So let's take the noun phrase that begins the sentence, one of the eggs. As you can tell, the main word there is one. Of the eggs is simply describing one, telling us more specific information about the word one. So the main word there is one. And if you take out of the eggs, you will see that the sentence is still correct grammatically. So we could say one is broken, and the sentence will still be fine. So you see, of the eggs is actually describing one. So do not pay attention to those words between the subject of the noun phrase and the verb. So don't let of the eggs. Most students, when they see the eggs there, plural, they get confused and they say one of the eggs are broken. No. That's not how it goes. It's one of the eggs is broken because the main word in the noun phrase is singular. But if you had two of the eggs, Because it's now true, the verb has to change to a plural verb. So it becomes 2 of the eggs are broken. I hope you got this point. Very easy. Now on to rule number 3. There are certain subjects that look like they are plural, but they always take a singular verb. That's the rule. So, an example is everybody, anybody, nobody, somebody, every, any, some. All these subjects always take a singular verb. They are classified as singular. So don't get confused when you see everybody. Take this example. Everybody is invited to the party. Now most students, once they see everybody, they get confused and they think it's plural. But like I said earlier, with this rule, even though the subject looks plural, it always goes with a singular verb. So it's not everybody are invited to the party, it's everybody is invited to the party. Anybody is invited to the party. Somebody is invited to the party. Nobody is invited to the party. So take note of this rule and start applying it in your writing. Now with these subjects, sometimes they take a singular verb, other times they take a plural verbs depending on the context. We have all, we have some, we have most, we have many. Let's take this example. All of the pizza was eaten. All of the pizza was eaten. What's the subject? All. Can you see of the pizza was there? And I told you before, when you see a word or a group of words between the main word in the subject and the verb, ignore those words. Focus on the main one. All of the pizza was singular verb, eaten. But you can have the subject all in a different context and it becomes plural. For example, all of the students were sent home. All of the students were sent home. The first time we said all of the pizza was. So the singular verb for this be verb, the singular form is was. And the plural form is were. So in the first sentence, all of the pizza we said was eaten. But in the second sentence, all of the students, what do we have? Were sent home. So you see, because of the different context. In the first one, singular, second, plural. Even though both of the words had the same subject, all. So take note of these types of subjects and use them correctly. Moving on to our next rule. Subjects with and are usually with a plural verb. So when you find subjects with and, 2 words joined by an and in the subject position, that goes with a plural verb. So John and Mary are happy. John and Mary are happy. John, Mary, joined together with and, that's a plural subject, beg your pardon, should go with a plural verb. John and Mary are happy. Remember, the singular verb be is, and the plural is are. John and Mary are happy. All right, let's see another way that we can use this type of rule. For and, use a plural verb. But when you use nor or, just like the way you use and, depending on the word closest to the verb, that's how you determine your verb, whether it's singular or plural. So the noun closest to the verb determines the number of the verb. Let's see this example. Neither George nor Bob is leaving. So what do we have here? We have neither and nor. Then we have Bob and George. Neither Bob nor George. So basically, whether you see neither nor or either or, take note. The noun closest to the verb, if it's singular, the verb becomes singular. If it's plural, the verb becomes plural. So neither Bob nor George is leaving. So the verb there is. Why? Because the last noun before the verb is singular. Neither Bob nor George. George is singular, so the verb is used. But if we have neither George nor his friends, you see that? The last noun there is friends, and that's plural. Neither George nor his friends are leaving. So this is how you use it. The noun closest to the verb determines the number of the verb. If it's singular, the verb is singular. If it's plural, the verb is plural. This goes strictly with either or neither nor. The next rule we're going to talk about has to do with collective nouns or group nouns. You know what a collective noun is? It's a noun that is used to classify a group. So when we say a team, it's classified as a group of players, right? A class is also to classify a group of people, right? A fleet of cars is also used to classify a group. Now, depending on the context of how this is used, it could be singular or plural. For instance, the orchestra is playing a hit song. As you can see, the context of this sentence shows that the orchestra is a group, right? It's a group word for all the participants in the band. The guitarist, the pianist, the violinist, and all of them together form the orchestra. So you cannot say the orchestra are playing. No, it's the orchestra is, because in this context, the orchestra signifies one, singular. So you use the verb is, singular. But if we have another example like this, the orchestra were asked to provide details about their background. The orchestra were asked to provide details about their background. You see that in this context, the orchestra no longer represents a single unit. That's why the verb were is used, because were is plural. And we also see a pronoun there, their. The orchestra were asked to provide the details about their backgrounds. So the entire context is laid out for you. There are so many clues there to point to you the context that should be preferable and correct. So these are some of the rules that you need to bear in mind as you use your nouns and your verbs. Nouns and verbs must agree in number. That's the basic rule with subject-verb agreement. I have to tell you, there's so much more to learn about subject-verb agreement. So why don't you go get a good grammar textbook and do your research. You'll find that there are so many other rules that you need to familiarize yourself with as you write your grammar. Because if you don't do this, your work will be filled with grammatical errors, and this will reduce your mark. So thank you very much for being a patient listener today. Until we meet again, I remain Mr. Fred. Have a lovely day. Bye.